How we doing there, boys and girls? Manthieus here and welcome back to another video. So we've been told in the last couple of days that we can go out and pre-order Dragonflight, and this has caused a lot of people to start thinking, well, what can I do to make a little bit of gold before the new expansion? So what I wanted to do is just a little bit of a refresher video today, give people a bit of a reminder of some of the ways that can be used depending on how much gold you already have to make a little bit of gold currently in Shadowlands. Everybody is at a different stage in their goal making sort of progress. Some people only have a very, very small amount of gold, and their goal is to just, make enough gold every single month to get that token paid for so they can, quote unquote, play the game for free. It's not technically free because you're investing an awful lot of time into it, but of course it doesn't hit your credit card. That's the big thing. There are some people that have got a little bit of gold already and they want to know if there's anything they can do with it to maybe sort of, put themselves in a good position come Dragonflight. And of course, there's also those people out there that have got a lot of gold and they're wondering, well, what can I do with this to really amplify it? So I'm going to cover a few little things today and try and hopefully answer some of those questions for you guys. The smart of you may have noticed that I'm standing in front of the mission table, and this brings me to the very first thing. By this point in the expansion, it's not uncommon for people to have at least a couple of level 60s. Some people out there are leveling alts like crazy right now and have got hundreds of the damn things. But any level 60 character, you really want to get the mission table up and running. And this whole process is made much, much smoother with the addition of a little add-on called TLDR missions. I might do a dedicated little video for this because it's quite a cool little add-on. People were aware of Venture Plan back in the day. Venture Plan unfortunately has not received many updates in the past few months. I don't even think it's been upgraded since patch 9.1 at this point, not officially anyway. TLDR missions though did come through, and basically what it allows you to do is I hate using the word automate because it gets taken out of context, but it massively increases the speed in which you can interact with the mission table. It works on a priority system. You can sort of, in the order that you tick the things that you want, will determine what the priority is for those missions. And then you just bang calculate, or if you've completed a load of missions like I have previously, when you come back to it, you hit finish completed missions, it'll churn through them. Hopefully, if everything goes to plan, you'll make a bunch of gold in the process, you'll get a bunch of materials. For the most part, I think this has almost a 99% success rate on the missions. I've very rarely had this thing fail a mission, so it works pretty well. My priority is probably completely different to what yours is because I'm not actually using the mission table to hunt down gold specifically. I'm actually, believe it or not, using the mission table to churn through a bunch of rep tokens. I want to increase my reputation. I'm pushing Paragon boxes. I'm exalted with every faction already, but I'm pushing Paragon boxes because there's still a few pets and mounts and that sort of thing I need, and it's easier to do it through the mission table passively than it is to go out and grind callings and that sort of stuff. But whatever your priority is, if it is just straight raw gold, the amount of raw gold you can generate from each mission table on each character is pretty substantial. People are claiming it to be in the region of about 3,000 raw gold a day, which doesn't sound like a lot. Sure, 24 hours to make 3,000 gold, that's pretty terrible. But it takes you a matter of minutes to do this. You log on to that character, you run TLDR missions. If I was to now take a little look at this again, I could click calculate. It's going to work out what the success rate is of each mission, and I just sort of bang through them. Start mission, start mission, start mission, start mission. The whole process takes probably less than a minute. You'll probably find that the loading screen boss actually takes more time than actually interacting with this. Of course, the mission table does come with a little bit of setup. There is a right way and there's an optimal way to set up your mission table, which is probably best explained by somebody that is a pro. I'll leave a link in the description down below. Zanzaful has done not only a couple of video guides, but he's permanently streaming him doing mission table stuff. He's got so many ults on the go, I don't even know what he does with them all nowadays, but he's pretty much the one to go to for some information about how to set this up optimally. The quick TLDR is you want to get your troop level up as high as possible, as fast as possible, and you can kind of cheese the system by using the new renown. The fact that we can boost to 60 renown now, gain the wisps of I think they're called wisps of memory, I believe they are. Anyway, if you get your mission table up and running at the very least, you can bang through plenty of missions on your ults. So the mission table, big one. There is option number 2 though. If you're not too concerned about the mission table side of things, if you don't have that many ults, if you've only got sort of an A level 60 or 2, the mission table is probably not going to do too much for you long term. The truth be told, gathering is still a big thing in Shadowlands. By the nature of gathering, you are always slowly but surely making gold. Now, of course, you have to invest time to do it, but if you invest enough time, you'll end up with a lot. Zereth Mortis is still your go-to zone for farming, in my opinion. At least it's going to have, it basically houses the core components, the core materials that are still somewhat in demand. You're probably looking at 4 to 5 Progenitor Essentia an hour if you're doing some farming up in the northern part of Zereth Mortis. The southern part tends not to have the rarer materials so much, so I'd stick to the northern part if you are doing any farming. Get your druid out, get your herbalism, get your mining on the go, and just, spend any downtime. This is the really key thing for me when it comes to gathering. It's not about, sitting down and saying, I'm going to go out and I'm going to farm for 5 hours today. If you do that, your mind will go numb. You'll get really bored of it, you'll find it a chore, you'll find it a task, and more importantly, you probably won't enjoy it. But it's all about sort of minimizing that downtime. If you're waiting for arenas to pop, if you're waiting for your guild members to log on so you can go raiding in the evening, if you're just killing 20 minutes, don't be standing around doing laps in Oribos. Jump on that toon, get herbalism and mining, fly around, gather some stuff up, and just kill that downtime. If you kill the downtime, if you add up all the amount of time that you're just standing there twiddling your thumbs, waiting for a dungeon to pop, or waiting for your friends and guild members to log online so you can go and do some organized group content, if you take all of that downtime and focus it towards gathering, even if it's not super profitable, something is better than nothing, and that's the nature of gathering for me, really. I'm not a big fan of farming personally, but that's because I've worked hard in the past to make sure I have enough gold so that when I need something I can buy it off the auction house. If you do like standing in the middle of Oribos though, and you are going to insist on twiddling your thumbs, and farming really isn't for you, there is another option, and especially for those realms where the material prices just make farming so bad that you just can't stand doing it, you can't stomach doing it. What you can do is you can start looking at doing some vendor shuffles. This is the point in the expansion where the vendor shuffles become a thing. For those that are maybe new to this sort of methodology of making gold, it's very simple. You take a bunch of materials. If you can buy the materials cheap enough, the big point here is that you're usually buying the materials cheap enough. You want to check the prices on your auction house for certain materials, and you're going to then funnel them through one of your professions and make some very basic bits and pieces. You're not going to then try and sell these crafted items. You are simply going to give them to a vendor. When the maths works out, you can actually then buy raw materials off the auction house, spend a little bit of time crafting some items, and then sell them straight to a vendor for more than what it costs you to buy the materials. There's lots of options for this though, lots of options. There's lots of professions, tailoring, blacksmithing, leatherworking, lots of different crafts. So it can be a little bit difficult to work out, well actually, where is the money to be made here? My Shadowlands cheat sheet though is available for everybody. I'll leave a link to this down below as well. The most recent version of this is always pinned in my Discord. So the best thing to do is hop into the Discord, come say hi. We permanently talking about World of Warcraft goal making and strategies and stuff over there, so it's maybe a good place to come and say hi anyway. But in my Discord is always the most recent up-to-date version of this cheat sheet if you want to use a copy of this yourself. But the quick overview of this is quite simple. For whichever profession that you may have available to you, whether it be tailoring, leatherworking, blacksmithing, or jewel crafting. Now there are, I mean, that's the majority of them. There are technically a few vendor shuffles that can be done with some of the other professions, but it's the big gear crafting ones to where it really sort of works out well. I would usually suggest looking at leatherworking or tailoring. Either one of those two are the big two for the vendor shuffles. And this sheet just basically gives you the answer straight away, saving you having to do any maths. If you can get your shrouded cloth cheap enough, and you go and buy your penumbra thread from a vendor for the cheapest price possible, you can see in many cases you can actually turn a little bit of a profit here. Just straight vendoring certain items can make you a certain amount of gold. Robes tend to be the big one. The shrouded cloth robes tend to be a good one for your tailors. You can often, mainly because they have quite a high sell price to the vendor, if you can get your materials cheap enough, you can craft up a whole bunch of shrouded cloth robes and just give them straight to a vendor. In leatherworking, you tend to look at a couple of different things. Ironically, for leatherworking, you actually end up making one of the weapons, one of the bows, tends to be the most profitable one, the composite bow. This requires you to both buy some pallid bones and some desolate leather, though, so there's a little bit of options there for how much you buy your materials. But if you can get both your pallid bones and your desolate leather at a good enough price, you can craft them for considerably less than what it ends up vendoring for. And slowly but surely, over time, in that sort of, once again, in that downtime for you. Or, like many goblins nowadays who have multiple World of Warcraft accounts, you can have this running in the background. But simples, plug your prices in, plug your auction house prices for materials into the spreadsheet, and it will just give you the answer. This is also designed for people that have enchanting as well. You'll notice it's a vendor and disenchant shuffle sheet. If you happen to have a enchanter that can do some disenchanting, you can take the crafted items, disenchant them, and then maybe sell the disenchant materials. Over here, you put in your prices of the soul dust and the soul shards on your realm, and there's a good chance you can turn a profit there as well. Add another step into the process. Sure, it's going to mean that you have to invest a little bit more time, but if you can squeeze out a little bit more gold from those materials, it's a net positive overall. So these three main methods are the ones that I would sort of recommend people keep their eyes on at the moment. They're somewhat passive. They, for the most part, don't require you to actually invest any of your current gold to get up and running with these. Of course, the vendor shuffles do require you to buy materials, but you're only buying them at a price to where you guarantee that you're going to make more. So the risk is almost non-existent. The only risk is that you don't have time to do it all, because it can be quite a time-intensive process. But they're the big three. It's not uncommon for people to want to get into crafting. I know a lot of the focus of my channel throughout Shadowlands has been on crafting. I've been a big advocate for the base legendary crafting this entire expansion. It's been an absolute cash cow, but it is also ludicrously expensive to get into. Even with the reduction in price to level up your ranks, it's still pretty expensive, and at this point in time, unless Season 4 really pops off, which we should hopefully get our hands on before too long, we don't so far believe that there's going to be any additional upgrade to the legendaries, so rank 7s is where it's at. It's still expensive to get there, and what you may find on many servers nowadays is there is lots of people already there, and that's a problem, because the supply of those rank 7s even probably is outstripping the demand for them. I probably, as much as it pains me to say, would probably not invest too heavily into any form of crafting currently, unless you already have covered the costs of leveling it all up and setting it all up. This tends to be the downside of crafting, that there's a big initial upfront investment to get everything leveled up, to get everything crafted in the first place, to then only, have to try really, really hard to sell the stuff on the auction house. Becomes a little bit more of a challenge. So if you're below 1 million gold currently, I would suggest sort of sitting on that gold, maybe doing some of these passive gold generation methods rather than looking at crafting currently, unless you are willing to really dedicate a whole bunch of time to it. I'll give you a little bonus tip, a bonus tip for the rich goblins out there. I know there's some of you that sort of like to leave your comments on the videos, and I know there's a lot of you that join in with the live streams that have had some really good success with gold making in Shadowlands, and are currently sat on a big pile of gold, and even you guys are questioning what you could do with it. A little bonus one, this is something that I'm stepping into. I started the process of this today. I've really not got too far with it. But expand to multiple realms. If you've done this on one realm and you've got a whole bunch of gold on one realm, more than enough to last you all the way through Dragonflight, consider expanding to different realms. The market that I would suggest is pets. Pets require a big investment initially because of course you've got to buy the pets and they're very slow sellers, but with one luxury being the fact that you can buy pets on any realm and you can sell pets on any realm. If you're interested in a little bit more about how this works in reality, I'm going to be putting some guides and some videos together regarding my expansion onto multiple realms and how I'm doing with selling pets all over the place. I'm getting there. There's a few add-ons that make that process a whole bunch easier. There's a few tricks and tips you can do in TSM to get everything running really smoothly, but we'll talk about those in a little bit more detail in an upcoming video. So make sure you press the like button on this one and stay subscribed for that one. So I'll leave it there for today, boys and girls. I hope that gives you a small little refresher on what some of the options are for sort of, you know, some slow and steady passive gold making in this downtime that we currently find. Try not to spend too much gold. If you curb your spending, you will ultimately end up with more gold. But if you really have to buy that new shiny piece of transmog, at least you now have a couple of ways to hopefully make that gold back before Dragonflight. I'll leave it there for today though, boys and girls. Have a good one. I'll catch you all next time. Peace.